Hey everybody, Kimo Sabi here. Uh, Figured I'd try to give an update on what is kind of going on. I had some questions that were asked of me regarding volume profile, um, and we're seeing a decline in volume on this current rally. So some don't believe in this rally. If we zoom in on it here, you have declining volume, very evident as prices going up. So there are some that are saying there's no participation in this rally, so it's bound to fail, which maybe it is, but I would not see that as a definite indication of a problem with the rally. What you see is an uptrend, and if the trend is going up, it's going up, and until it doesn't. But what you will see on the daily chart here is a grouping of volume, like you have stopping volume at the highs and you have it at the lows. You have an accumulation volume, and this accumulation, or the spring phase of that accumulation, how high that volume bar came up was not as much as the previous. So there you have a volume divergence, and that's something to take note of. But price running up on low volume is not that as significant as you would expect. As you can see, back last year in October, well, August through October, there was no volume as price was going up until you had a breakout. The breakout volume was on this candle that broke up and took out all the stop losses. So then the market started participating, and then on the daily candle, each push up would have a large volume spike. And that was just, in my opinion, just short squeezing, because they did it, or they started it over the weekend, and all the CME traders that were short from this range had to buy back, and they were getting squeezed essentially. You may see the same thing happening in our current rally. Maybe we have a weekend where it pushes up. I'm kind of expecting new all-time highs or close to it over the weekend, as long as the invalidation isn't hit. And my current invalidation is yesterday's low. So we'll see if that low gets taken out. I don't want to see any 4-hour closures below yesterday's low. As long as that low holds, then the pattern can resume. And to see the pattern from the lows, I bring it here on the 4-hour chart to show you what I'm looking at and how I'm matching the legs and the rally, essentially, and how I would see it completing. So let's draw it out. So the best I can tell from this pattern so far is an ABC up like that, and ABC up like that. So those two match, and now you're having sideways and a drop. You had sideways and a drop, and then a push up, and a push up, and I'm expecting, if the sequence is to follow, some kind of buy setup that should be a higher low than our current low. And then sometime at the end of the week, the potential for that rally pullback and a continuation. So that rally should take you up to potentially all-time highs, get a rejection, but find support at previous resistance, and then push up one more time. Potentially being up to the 114 target. That would give you a 74, 84, 94, 104, 114. And it just magically keeps doing it. So that's the way I see it, but the invalidation is a 4-hour close below. You could really base it off of 100K. You stay above 100K, I'd see 114 before coming down. And 114 should be an area where a lot of volume can come in. If it happens really quickly over the weekend, you have a potential for a similar short squeeze that happened in November. Uh, but I'm not too keen on that idea. I actually expect a retrace to come from 114 and then take some of this lower liquidity down in 90K, somewhere in that region. Maybe take your accumulation range and back test that at like 88,000 to 90,000, maybe as low as it would go. That may actually be like a 618 retrace if we're lucky enough to get that deep. Wyckoff method would say that once you break above the all-time high, the 114 area, you want to hover above there. You just want to stay up there for like a week or two. And then that's a sign of strength, essentially. And then you'd have a backup phase, and then a continued push up. But I'd be on guard for a liquidity flush down to 90 before a quick resumption up. And it might be a quick move down and bounce right back up. We'll we'll see how the future unfolds. But I'm just playing the pattern and the trend how it is for now, and I'm currently matching this consolidation with that consolidation and expecting some kind of ABC pop up like that up to 114. Hey, it's a good target. So it either stops at 114 or it holds up there and then continues, or a sharper retrace down to take lower liquidity, because none of this liquidity was taken here, and you kind of like to see that liquidity taken. However, if you look back at the previous rallies, that liquidity was left in the past in a similar formation where it just kept grinding higher. So that it's possible that the market just leaves it alone and continues pushing. So that's my current outlook. Um, I've been given plenty of updates on the Slice platform. Uh, yeah, you guys need to jump in there. It's really a game changer for me because I'm able to update very, very quickly. I gave several buy setups. I think there was a 4-hour bullish engulfing candle right there. There was a buy setup here. I think I took another one here on a 15-minute. Gave one yesterday, and I got another one already lined up, which I'm expecting it to just be some kind of ABC here, and then grind up, and we'll potentially have another entry. So 1, 2, 3, 4, I think 5 entries, 6. I think I've given 6 or 7 entries already just in this past week. So the entries tend to be almost daily so far, and I keep the wave updated with what I'm seeing, just like I do with my normal charting, like on the fly. So it's a lot easier than uploading a YouTube video, and I don't necessarily have to be like a host of a Discord server and stuff like that. I can just let the Slice platform do it for me, and I can be a trader, which is why I really like what they've done over there. So I encourage you guys to swing on by over to the Slice platform. Shoot, let's take a look at that, and then we'll jump back into the charts. There is, sorry about your eyes, this is very, very bright. There's my trade idea, what I'm kind of looking at, the waves playing out into a potential buy setup coming at 101,000. These are all private posts. I'd like them to have more public posts, but yeah, I think I have trade setups open, but as you can see, just updating it as the waves come out, potential Elliott waves that I'm counting. And then there's a trade set up on a higher high looking for a higher low. Um, just updating in real time on very low time frames to be able to get entries and potential areas to buy, and looking at lower time frames to find the entries and explaining my thinking behind it at the same time. So I'm already at 43 posts in the past, I want to say it's like 10 days now. So updating like 4 posts a day on average. Um, so far I'm averaging, I think, 1 trade setup idea per day, of which I think I got stopped out of 1. Yeah, I think I got stopped out of 1 of them. So overall, doing pretty good with that. There is 24 hours left to get the discount. I'll link the link and the discount code in the description below, so you can follow that. Yeah, come on in, guys. We've got 10 subscribers so far, and anybody that sees this video that is a subscriber, leave a comment below as to what you guys are seeing, what I'm posting, how you're liking it so far. Give some feedback. Yeah, thanks for that. So let's jump back into the chart. What I wanted to do on the charts is just measure the pattern. We can measure this leg over here. It's a very small leg, but it all looks the same in um, log scale. So came down to the buy zone area That's not really Elliott wave. There was an Elliott wave setup that said go a little bit lower, but I think it hit the 3 too. No, it hit the 0.5 of what I was expecting. So that went down all the way to the low. So since it hit the 0.5, could have something that appears like a triangle here before breaking out to mimic this pattern and kind of consolidate. And assuming that that low, our current low, holds, we would take a measurement of the first leg in this sequence up to that high, project from the very low, and the 1-to-1 gets you to 116,000. On a closing basis, though, it's more like 114, 115, but we'll check it in real time as it's progressing, if it indeed does, or we get stopped out and we look for a downtrend to start here, and look for a potential cycle low coming early June. But I think we're still early in the daily cycle to be looking for downside just yet. So this kind of makes sense to push up and then soon, maybe next week, start some downside into the cycle low. That's kind of what I'm looking at for today. Yeah, leave your comments down below. Like and subscribe. Share the video. Start spreading the word. That's kind of my target for now. And there's my invalidation. If that does invalidate, then look for a downtrend to start, and you're looking for this liquidity down here at 93,000. But right now my invalidation is 100,709 is where I'm managing risk off of. And as long as the trend continues to want to push up, I will follow it along. Some people are saying don't buy here. It's risky at the highs. You're buying into resistance. I'm fine buying into resistance as long as the trend is still up. And the daily is it just kind of got a daily lower high in this vicinity, but from this low to that high, you're still looking anywhere in this area is still your higher low. So I'd still look for an uptrend to start to push liquidity all-time high. And that's the way I'm managing. I don't have to be afraid to buy as long as I know my risk. If I can manage my risk, I'll manage my risk. And you know what? I'll share that trade setup that I was looking at. Yeah, before I leave, I'll leave you the little tidbit of kind of what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a potential break of the high at 106, for the pattern to kind of look like this for now, and then down into tomorrow for a potential buy setup at 101,000. I would look for a small uptrend to start out of like 101 to 102,000, somewhere out of there. I'd expect an uptrend to start. It might be very slow going until Friday, maybe into the weekend, and then you might start to have some short squeeze happening over the weekend. It's kind of what it looks like for now. Until that invalidation is hit, and definitely a 4-hour close below that is not what I want to see for bullishness. As long as it's bullish, I'll continue to try to push the trend as much as possible until it stops me out and starts a downtrend. So this is my trade setup, the last one that I posted on Slice, the trade setup idea. So looking to take out the high and then take some liquidity lower and then continue pushing up. I'm still looking for all-time high until I'm validated. So that's what I've got for now. Join me for real-time updates on Slice if you feel up to it. Till next time, keep them stops tight and have a good night. My stop is 100,709.